Hey guys, welcome back to Sarcastic Remarks. And alongside Chris, my brother, I am Ryan Chambers. This is the Dallas Stars podcast where we talk about all things Dallas Stars losing to the worst teams in the NHL. The Dallas Stars lose by a final score of 4-1 to the Nashville Predators tonight. The Nashville Predators coming into tonight were winless in their last 8, and now the Stars are 12-2 at the American Airlines Center with their 2 losses to the Anaheim Ducks, rebuilding since 2004, and the Nashville Predators, who are very recently the worst team in the NHL, although they might not be the worst team in the NHL anymore. So, anyways, I don't even know where to start with this game here tonight, Chris. And honestly, I don't. After talking to some of the players and talking to Pete DeBoer tonight, I don't think they do either.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this game on the schedule, and it's like the most trappiest game you can imagine. You're playing the worst team in the league after your longest break of the season so far. They had a full 2 days off. And honestly, the Predators are probably desperate, and they have been for a while, so that doesn't mean too much. But they were desperate, eight game losing streak in a row, and they come out and they score more than 3 goals for the first time in almost a month. The last time they got 4 goals, I think, was November 17th. So yeah, it just nothing was going in except for what was shot from Bichsel, and even that one had to get a little deflection to find its way in. So yeah, the offense just wasn't there.
There's so many different aspects of this game here tonight, Chris, that you could sit here and rant about. I mean, I honestly don't even know where to start. The defense, the team defense was atrocious. Otter, I don't even blame him tonight. I mean, some of the stuff maybe, yeah, but still he only allows 3. I mean, the Stars, with the amount of depth they have on this team, should be able to outscore their problems every once in a while when Otter has an average or below average game. And I think this is very quickly becoming a storyline for the Dallas Stars, and the fact that they're not scoring the same amount of goals that they were last year or 2 years ago. I mean, if we go back and look at the last couple of games, I mean, how many times have we scored 3 goals in the last couple of weeks or so? It hasn't been very often.
Yeah, not many. And to use the Aggie adage, if it happens twice, it's a coincidence. If it happens 3 times, it's a tradition. And we've now lost to bad teams 3 times already this season. So looking like a star tradition. We lost to the Ducks, Chicago, and Nashville. So those are 3 pretty bad losses that I think if we look at all of last season, we might have had 3 losses to teams that were in the bottom 10 of the league. So really rough.
And so one of the things that they were asked about, the players and Pete DeBoer, was is it just because the level of the competition that they're playing? I mean, is that really that big of an issue to get up for these games? And it's not like this was a one-off. I just like the Chicago game where I went off for about, I think we went and timed it. It was like 8 minutes where I didn't stop talking. This is another one of those type of feeling games. And honestly, the only reason why I'm not as mad as I probably should be is because the one good thing that could have happened tonight did, and it was Lian Bichsel.
Yeah, and I thought he stepped into the game and he started pretty slow. The first period was pretty rough. He takes the penalty on his first shift and gets scored on, but it gets called back pretty soon too. And that was probably his guy that he could have collapsed on a little bit quicker on that. But no harm, no foul. But as the game went on, he played better and better, got more and more shifts, eventually scored the goal that made the building go crazy and almost spark us to come right back. I mean, you look back, Duchesne was right on the doorstep after some fancy dangling that could have made it a 1-goal game with more than 4 minutes left. I mean, we're right there to almost get that. And I think that's another thing you need to look at with this game. It's not like the Stars were totally like outmatched or anything. They weren't really in the Anaheim game either. I think they were in the Chicago game. That one was just horrible. But they outshoot the Preds by 10 tonight. They outchanced them by a lot. Their third period was pretty much exactly what you want to see. They were downhill the whole way. And the problem that we've had all season of not having execution when we really need it is rearing its head again. Like the last year's Stars, they have a much better chance in this game than this year's Stars do. Stars still haven't came from behind when they went into the third period without the lead. So that's something to really look at with some angst and to try and figure out how you had that much belief that you had last year. You got to figure that out. You got to find a way to like at least get a point out of these games. That's something that honestly, the lack of overtime losses is kind of turning into a negative thing when you look at it, because we're not forcing overtime games either. Like, of course, we're not giving them up, but we're not forcing them. We're not finding ways to scrap points out when you really need them. So I think for me, the big thing in this game is still just the lack of execution. The top line was really bad again, I thought, tonight, and it gets shook up a little bit. And I thought that looked okay, but we need those big guys to score in these types of games. And we almost saw several really good individual plays. I mean, Duchesne had a really pretty one. Marchment had a really pretty one. Johnston had a really pretty one. And they just can't find Twine. It's really a problem. It has been all season. They got to figure it out.
Man, I don't even know where to go with that. You went like just pond hopping across the on the stones there for a second.
It's your NPR guy today, so.
Okay, the first thing, I almost went off on you about the game here today. I completely disagree with you in that we were outmatched. I mean, Nashville was by far the better team tonight. It was not even close.
Definitely in the first period, that's true.
No,
but
in the first
and
the second. In the second as well. No, it was not. The second period, it's the second period started off the exact same way the first period did.
Yes, for sure.
And the thing is that Nashville didn't have any, like, I would argue that, like, in the first period, the Stars had more high danger chances than Nashville did. But the thing is that Nashville continually was going at the Stars, and they were playing a way that you have to play when you're really sucking it up, which is what they were. It was just constant, just a lot of forecheck, throw it up to the point, look for a shot, and look for a rebound. And that happened on a couple of instances tonight. There was some rebounds that Otter gave up, but I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to completely disagree with you. In the third period, the reason why the shots were as big difference is that, I mean, that's what you have to do when you're down 3-0. You have to go and you have to shoot the puck. And it was like 21-22 in shots at the end of the second period. Of course, the Stars are going to outshoot the Nashville Predators at that point, because they have to go and at least try to get something out of this game. That's really what it was. I bet you if you go and look at the third period, the Stars at least tripled the amount of shots over Nashville's shots. That would be my guess. So what was it?
Now I gotta go back and look at it. Yeah, it was 6-15.
Yeah, see, so just about tripled.
Yeah,
and I just don't. I'm sorry, I don't agree with you at all.
If you look at scoring chances, the scoring chances are pretty even in this game. The difference is the Stars weren't able to capitalize on them. I really think that is. You take out 3 minutes in the second period, and not only is it a close game, the Stars are winning the game. So it feels worse because it shouldn't be close. I'm saying it was close on chances. It shouldn't be when you're playing the worst team in the league. The Stars should be dominating them. That's the thing that feels bad to me, is that this is a team you're supposed to take care of, and they weren't able to do it.
Okay, do we deserve to win-o-meter?
Yeah, deserve to win-o-meter gives the Stars the edge, 61-38.
Okay, and see that watching the game from up here, that blows my mind. I didn't.
I'm telling you, the chances were close. Like, I agree, especially in terms of like puck battles and hustle, and especially in front of the net. Like, there wasn't much effort in front of the Preds net to get rebounds because Noonan gave up several, and the Stars weren't really scrapping for them as much as they should have. But just if you're looking raw at chances, it's pretty even. But when you're playing the worst team in the league and you're the Dallas Stars, it shouldn't be even. You should be dominating them.
Well, and the expected goals in all situations, 3.74 to 3.29, with the edge going to Nashville there. And I don't know. I'm just more frustrated tonight about, yes, them not capitalizing on their chances, Chris, but it's just the lack of puck management, especially in the first period.
The first period was very
adulterating. I mean, it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. And then it continued into the second, and then it got a little better in the second. And then, of course, the Stars controlled most of it in the third because Nashville just went into prevent defense, to steal the football term. So I'm just really frustrated at the lack of effort tonight. And Robert Tiffin of Dallas Thoughts, and he also writes for D Magazine.
Star
He
thoughts.
Stars Thoughts, thank you. He put out there that maybe they're like fighting a flu, or something's going through the locker room or something, and there was no talk of that from any of the players or from DeBoer. And if there was something like that going through, you would think that they would have said something
No,
about that.
I think it's for
So,
sure just the 2 days off that they finally got for the first time in a while, and then you're playing the Predators. It's hard for you to gear yourself up really as much. I mean, it's a perfect trap game. It was set, and the Stars fell right into it.
well, I mean, the Anaheim game was exactly a trap game as well, and
Yeah,
that's the even more frustrating thing, is that
you didn't learn.
you get 3 days off, and then that's the effort that the Stars come out to, and that's what they do. That's just really frustrating. So, okay, enough on that. Let's talk about Lian Bichsel a little bit more. He was obviously probably the one and only bright spot in the game here tonight. I don't think anybody else pretty much showed up. Pete DeBoer called him the probably our best player tonight, and in just terms of just general games. And I mean, that's fairly obvious. He probably played recently. I would guess he played for Texas on Wednesday, or maybe even on Tuesday even, would be
I
my
can't
guess.
remember actually.
But you look that up. I'll keep ranting a little bit. But with the goal, it was, I know it kind of glanced off somebody, but still, that's exactly what the Stars needed at that point. And for a split second, I got a little bit of hopefulness in me watching that, and I also thought, okay, it's his first NHL game, first NHL goal. Maybe that'll jumpstart the boys a little bit, and it did for maybe like 2 or 3 shifts, and that was about it. And then went right back to the feeling that the rest of the game was like.
Yeah, and that was the other great thing about the goal is like the first thing I thought of is great. Now they have another chance to finally figure out this third period comeback thing that they had last year. And yeah, there wasn't enough of a pushback afterwards. And actually, Bichsel hadn't played since longer. His last game was Sunday, December 8th.
Oh, that
So
makes sense,
that's
because
pretty
weekend,
typical for AHL hockey, though. You're typically just playing
Friday, Saturday,
weekends.
Sunday.
And they were traveling back after their really long West Coast road trip, actually. So that was their last game of a actually pretty grueling schedule for Texas.
All right. You wrote the article on him for 100 Degree Hockey. It's getting a lot of publicity right now, just from different members of the media, and they've retweeted a lot of your stuff. Oh, some of the stuff that you talked about in the article. Did you see any of that stuff here in the game tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I predicted that he was going to score his first game because he's just that kind of guy. He's a big goal scorer guy. No,
Okay,
obviously not.
Nostradamus, Chris
No,
Chris
but
Tradamus.
I think what you do see on that goal is the kind of weirdness in that this guy is huge, but he can skate. That's really what you see in that goal. Is there's not many guys that large that can skate as fast as he can, and he was flying on that, and that's partly what made I think the shot a little bit difficult to read. Also, the fact that it was deflected a little bit on the defenseman right in front of him, but it's a great goal by him. Obviously, the hit stat isn't great, honestly, in the NHL, but he's team leading. He has 5 tonight, and you can tell he's just a physical guy. He's insanely strong too. Like this is the kind of big hockey player that uses his size to his full advantage, and he absolutely did that tonight. Um, One thing I think you kind of look for on his puck battles, and I mentioned this in the article, is that he's much better at puck battles when he can kind of force the play before it gets to him. So if he gets the puck in and on his skates, he's not as good as some other players are at moving the puck along the boards if he doesn't have his stick on it. Especially in comparison to guys like Jamie Benn, who actually like sometimes steps on the puck to actually control it with his feet. So he's not up to that level just yet, but he wins puck battles in other ways too. So he wins them before they start, really using his reach and using his size to get people off the puck. So I thought he played really well. And like I said before, he got better and better as the game progressed. And because of that, he got more and more shifts moving into the third period. So I really like him. I hope they give him a couple more games at least to see if he can stay consistent at the NHL level. But we'll just have to see. We'll see what the what the status is on Dumba. Did DeBoer say anything about that after the game tonight?
There was nothing said about Dumba other than he's day to day. So
Yeah.
I was actually gonna mention that real quick. I mean, Matt Dumba, it sucks. Like just when he's finally starting to look a little bit better and he's really starting to kind of find his groove a little bit, and then he's out not because of his play, but because he's injured. That just really absolutely sucks. Though anyway, talking about Bichsel again. No, let me ask you the question. Is this game it? Like, is he not? Am I going to get to see him more than you will from here on out?
Yeah, I really don't know. It's hard to tell if they want Dumba to come back and they still see him as the long-term solution for this team. I would say no, because Lyubushkin and Lundqvist are doing so well on their side, actually. So I would say more than likely he's still coming back as long as Dumba isn't hurt long term. But I mean, when he's playing that good and he brings something that our decor doesn't have, and it's that extreme physicality, like the Zadorov kind of scariness, but he's a better defender than Zadorov is, honestly. So it brings something different that the team doesn't have, which is size, really.
Well, and no, I don't necessarily think that's true. They have size, and the frustrating thing, Chris, is what one of the things I talked about in the offseason was they need to go out and get some physicality, which is what they did. They signed Blackwell, they signed Lyubushkin, they signed Dumba,
Yeah.
and Lyubushkin and Dumba both, yes, right-handed defensemen, and that's the main reason why they were signed. But it was also the two of them combined last season had over 400 hits, and we're not seeing any of that.
Yeah,
Now,
they don't play
Lyubushkin
that
is still
same
being
kind of physical way.
right, and I'm wondering if that obviously has to be a coaching philosophy thing. So is that's we were talking, like, people in chat are talking about, like, there seems like there's something missing. Maybe that something missing is not necessarily a person or a player, but maybe it's just a style of game. Maybe when you have a game like this and you're not controlling the puck very much, and you need to get yourself going, maybe you need to throw a little bit of physicality in there. And Sam Steele was about the only one other than Bichsel that showed a little bit of nastiness tonight, and then he gets a penalty on the play because of it. It I think that I'm starting to convince myself more that that's something, the missing aspect out of this team's game. I mean, like, when you look at the last couple of teams that have won the Stanley Cup, when you look at Vegas, when you look at when you look at the Florida Panthers, for crying out loud, when you look at the Tampa Bay Lightning 2020 and 2021, and even I'll even go back to the Blues in 2019. The thing that they had is they had their physical play that slowly wore teams down. And when you don't have anything else going for you right now, that's something that the Stars need to add to their repertoire to at least try to get something going. But there was like nothing. I mean, I don't have the stats in front of me, Chris. Well, what are the hits tonight? I'd be really interested.
The team hits.
I know you said Bichsel had 5
in favor of the Predators.
20-18.
Yes.
See, that doesn't add up to me again. But again, like you said,
that's why I don't like the hit stat very much.
Yes, hits in the National Hockey League are more skewed towards home teams most of the time. But anyway, I digress. Thoughts on that?
I don't know if I fully agree. The Stars' play style really relies on kind of bailing the zone early and getting those stretch passes and making the other team respect that kind of stretch pass through
using
the
skill, using skill, and their skill
think
players are not doing it right now.
Right,
They're
and I think that's the problem, is that our skill players aren't doing it. I don't think the solution to that is, oh, well, then we need to assume our skill players are bad and we need to go play Rick Bones hockey and play the trap and start hitting people like crazy, because that's not the Stars' game.
No, and I'm not saying that either, but they gotta roll 4 lines, and it doesn't seem like any of that. That's what Pete DeBoer likes to do. He likes to even up the minutes as much as possible. Obviously, give more minutes to the top 6 guys, but
he's still rolling 4 lines.
But the physicality is not there, and there's not like a buildup. There was like not one shift today where I could have said that, or there weren't back-to-back shifts today that I was like, okay, that was a good shift by that line and a good shift by that line. There was nothing that they could build off of.
I think there was after the Bichsel goal. There were several good shifts in a row, I thought.
It still led to nothing, though.
It didn't lead to anything, no.
Anyway, I'm ranting like an old person on his back porch. Get off
That's
my
more
lawn.
back to the execution thing for me, though. I don't think it's time to start being a hitting team. That's still not the identity of this team. I think having a guy like Bichsel and having the ability to do that, at least to just scare people off every once in a while, is a good idea. So you have Jamie Benn and Bichsel. I think that's a good 1-2 punch that you need for an otherwise fast and high skill team. But the problem is our skill needs to be skill, and it hasn't been the start of the season.
Dare I say he is a Hakanpää replacement? I don't want to say he's a replacement. He's probably a better defender than Hakanpää, but
he uses his size way more than Hakanpää did. Hakanpää was a big guy that felt like he didn't know how big he was. Bichsel knows how big he is, and I think you noticed that tonight.
Sorry, a random thought. Can you imagine if we had a big rig back here with Bichsel and with Hakanpää? Oh my goodness.
I think about Alexiak a lot.
That was the worst thing when he got taken by Seattle in the expansion draft. Okay. Anyway, on Nashville's side, Annunen had a really good game, and of course he has a reason to be hacked off for several different reasons. One, it's Dallas, and he got beat by Dallas, and probably one of the reasons why he was traded. And then obviously, just he gets traded just in general, and he's trying to prove to the 11 scouts that were here today that he can still play, and maybe he gets moved at the deadline to be a better, more suitable backup, just in case some other team needs a better backup. But he was probably one of the Predators' best players tonight. I really thought he made some huge, enormous stops, and none bigger than that Benn save.
Yeah, and the Duchesne save at the end there when the Stars actually did have momentum for what was kind of the only time tonight. So, yeah, he deserves some props. I think the Stars had some pretty bad shots tonight. If you go back and look, actually, a lot of stuff hitting the chest protector. So not great there, but you do have to give him his credit. He played a really good game. He had several big saves.
Okay, we need to wrap it up here. Anything else that we need to mention?
Nope. All good.
Although I thought this was very random. Nashville is the worst team in the NHL, but they have the best penalty killing in the NHL.
They're the second worst team in the NHL now. There you go.
Second, okay.
Consolation
thank you,
prize. We did not lose to the worst team in the NHL. Well, actually, yes, we have.
Yeah, we did, and we made them not the worst team in the NHL anymore. Okay, all right. Biggest winner, biggest loser. Who you got?
Biggest winner is Ryan's jinx tweet. He tweeted shutout 4 times right before Bichsel scored the goal.
5 times.
5 times. So that's a huge play by Ryan. Big time on the keys. That's when we needed it.
I'll take it.
You got to save those for the right time.
Yep. And I was manifesting something that thankfully happened. At least we didn't get shut out to the worst team in the NHL. That could have been a lot worse. My biggest winner tonight is Ryan O'Reilly. He gets the 2 goals. I know one of them bounces off his shin pad, but he's been out of the lineup for a while. He comes back in the first game, 2 goals. That's what he gets paid for. He's one of their top guys. Over there. So,
well, I said your tweet so that you could say Bichsel. So I'll change mine. Bichel's the biggest winner. He's great.
He scored a goal, but I mean, if we're talking about the game in general.
And another honorable mention to my article. I'm sure Neil read that and immediately pulled Bichsel up there. Big time by me there, too.
You just had that much power in Stars media landscape, right?
I've got some swing.
Who's your biggest loser tonight? Because I have an interesting one for you.
Biggest loser is, the Stars top line. I mean, you gotta find a way to put a puck in the net. This is again. I know we've harped on this so many times, but this has continued to be the Stars' problem. A game like tonight is when you need Johnston to just score one himself, for Rope to score one himself, for Robo to score one himself. These guys just aren't playing up to the caliber that they have the previous 3 seasons, and we really need them to figure it out. It's getting better, but marginally.
Yep. And here's some chat kind of given us an idea of who they might think is the biggest loser. Just this is from way early, before we even started the episode today. Robo and his concrete boots, and then Boomers saying hard to believe Robo was a 40 goal scorer. And then Ardell, he lost that icing on the empty net goal. Bleeping embarrassing. Thank you for saying bleeping, Ardell. I appreciate that.
That was a rough play.
That was the one thing that did absolutely like hack me off more than anything, was that play at the end. I'm like, really? Like that's how we're gonna go down? They're gonna cycle in our zone without our goalie there, and it's 6-on-5. Like, come on now. So
and I think some of what we're seeing there too is that there's not a Joe Pavelski out there either, because like now he's got 2 fast line mates, but still, especially that icing thing, that he wins that race every time. So I'm wondering if the foot thing is still a problem, or if he just really has just a crazy ramp up process that he goes through during summers before seasons start. But I mean, it's been a third of the season. You think he'd be up to speed by now?
I don't know the answer to it, and I mean, I guess the biggest, and I'm gonna jump on your bandwagon a little bit. For my biggest loser, and it's just the lack of the Stars forwards taking care of business on their opportunities. Just they're like you said, that they're getting their opportunities.
There was chances. There was
but they're not converting. They're not converting. I mean, like you said, Duchesne with the ridiculous move that he pulled. Speaking of ridiculous moves, Joe had one too, right in the dead slot, and so it's just they're just not converting, and our best players are not our best players, and when your best players are not your best players, you're not gonna win a whole lot of the time.
And that's really what I think this start of the season struggle boils down to, is just that poor execution so far for the Stars. This is a game the Stars win last year. Like, they play this bad and they still win. So I think that's just the biggest difference maker so far between this year and last year, is our top players have to be our top players.
Well, and the scary thing is that I honestly thought they would have figured it out by now. Like you said, Chris, we're a third of the way into the season, and there should. And I know I talked about this way back against Chicago, and I said, if you're not concerned, I wish I were you.
Yeah.
That concern has not gone away. It might have gone away for a game or so, when the Stars would play a good game, but it's like that overhanging thing that's over them.
And we knew it would take time for them to progress through it, but it's taking a lot longer than I thought it would take. And we're seeing chance after chance for them to be like, oh, Rope got a goal here. Maybe we can use that to build on. And, oh, Rope had a great play there. Maybe he can build on that. And that's just not really happening.
And we're saying maybe instead of...
He is.
And we're being hopeful rather than knowing that it's gonna take place. And I think that's... You don't have that same sort of thing where you feel like, okay, we're down 3-1 right now, but we know that one of our top players is just going to go out and get a goal. Robo's just going to shoot it, and it's going to find its way in, because that's what he does. We haven't had that happen a lot this season.
Yeah. And your final thought, your silver line, it's still December 12th. Lots of hockey to play, lots of time to figure it out, but they're looking worse so far than they were last year.
And really stinking weird, but all the top teams in the Central lose today. The Jets
right
lose.
When we won, all of them won.
Yes. Yeah.
We're
and
setting
so
the pace.
Right there you go. That's a good way to look at it. I mean, the Jets lost in overtime, I think. And then the Avs were getting, I think they lost, and I think the Wild were getting absolutely creamed. I think it was 9-1. The last time I looked, it was either the Avs or the Wild.
Lost 7-1 to the Oil.
Whew. Dang.
That's pretty crazy.
So now, thankfully, the only one we've seen like that is the Chicago game. But still, this team has got to figure some stuff out, and they're starting to run out of time, in my opinion. And now we're worried about the forwards being able to score, when we should be just worried about whether the defense can actually hold up. And the defense has actually been fairly decent. Even though we've complained a lot about Dumba, and at some points we've complained a little bit about Lyubushkin sometimes, but
we're tops of the league in goals against.
And then I mean, just like I said on Tuesday, it's like maybe we're not looking at getting a defenseman. Maybe Bichsel is our
No,
trade deadline acquisition.
I don't think we
and we go
are.
out.
I
Hmm?
legitimately don't think we're looking at a defenseman. If
I
one's there, I think we get one, but I don't think one's there, and I don't think we necessarily need it.
Hello, Evgeny Malkin. Anyways, I'll leave it at that. We'll leave it for we'll leave it for another day. Thank you guys so much for following along live with us here tonight. There's more of you who are listening afterwards as well. If you're watching on YouTube, please consider liking and subscribing there. Follow us on social media anywhere and everywhere at StarcasticR. If you're listening on the audio side, please consider leaving us a 5-star review. It's the best way to help us grow. StarcasticRemarks.com is the website. Sarcastic Remarks Shop is the merch shop. And as always, thank you to Game Time and DraftKings Sportsbook for being our sponsors. Promo code is THPN. Alongside Chris, my name is Ryan. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. And Chris, that's how you do an outro. And we hope you guys have a good, fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys are listening. And we will be back with you guys again when the Dallas Stars take on the St. Louis Blues on Saturday, I believe, right?
Yep.
Saturday? Okay. Thank you guys so much.